myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not.
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. Tonight I am joined, as always, on Tuesday night by Gregory. How are you, Ross?
I'm good, Steve. I'm good. How are you?
Good, mate. Is the bat signal up in the air at St James's Park yet? Has the Botman deal been done?
Not yet. It's great, isn't it? We're going to have a bat signal for Batman or Botman. We had the smoke signal for the Pope. It's good. It's as if they're signing these players just for our own amusement, or just to amuse themselves with the social media reveals as well. So it's good fun.
It is. Ian McKenna, I'll put this up in case I lose it in the chat. He says, I found this interview with Botman, toppling PSG, idolising Ramos and Van Dijk, and how good is Samore. Ornstein meets Sven Botman. Type it into YouTube, people. Well worth a watch after you've watched NUFC Matters, of course. And lots to talk about, as always. We await news on Botman. Potentially could break tonight. We thought it might break last night, but it didn't. So we will keep our eyes peeled on the socials as we continue to do the show for the next hour. I guess the opening news is this: is the strip, Ross, and the new third strip is now out there. I think it's been, and I mean we touched on this last week. It's been a little bit suspicious as well that Mike Ashley's stores have had these in before the official kit launches, and that's the first thing I want to talk about. It's almost like one little shot across the bow. It's his last shot across the bow, isn't it, Ashley? That he seems to have done something or had something in. Is some people suggesting he's got a link with Castore, maybe he's got a percentage in it, and that's how he's managed to do it. Maybe he's done a little deal behind the scenes to say that Sports Direct get them in first, but ultimately I think it still rankles with the rank and file of Newcastle United that he still seems to have a little hold over us in some way, shape, or form. Yeah,
absolutely. I think we talked about it on last week's show, Steve. That there'll be these little residual deals and contracts and issues around Mike Ashley and Sports Direct and everything else that goes with it. There'll be these little issues around it that will take a bit of time to iron out, take a little bit of time to get all those kind of out of the door, I suppose. There'll be a little bit of residual left over, I think, for a little while yet. Just can't seem to get rid of the bloke, can we?
No, we can't. I know we've discussed the strip before. I like it. I think it's great. The little map on there as well, which can't really be seen unless you get up close, is another thing. But I think it's a great strip. And I think as well, the other announcement that we had yesterday was that that Noon have come on board as the club's official sleeve sponsor. And of course, all kinds of digging by the Newcastle United supporters out there. Well, it didn't take much digging, really, did it? But obviously, it's a Saudi company. People are claiming that PIF have got something to do with it. I think the key line from the whole sponsorship scenario from Noon is that Fun88, the main shirt sponsor, pays £6.5 million a year, as Tom says, but Noon are paying £7.5 million per year for the sleeve. So I think that tells you the direction we'll be going in once we sever our ties with Fun88. PIF certainly looking to do good deals on sponsorship, Ross.
Yeah, look, the commercial activity at the club over the last 10 years, longer, is stagnated. And in fact, stagnated is probably being kind. It's regressed. The club hasn't grown commercially in line with the rest of the Premier League. It's some of its competitors. We look at where the club was 15, 20 years ago commercially. And where peer clubs were, where some others in the Premier League were, and whereas they have taken off and grown their financial kind of clout and their commercial clout, Newcastle haven't, through for whatever reason. You can go back to Mike Ashley and being this fantastic businessman, But the commercial side of things just didn't grow. Obviously, we have new owners at the club now, who bring different contacts, bring different business contacts, but different priorities and avenues that they can kind of go down on the commercial route. I think that's going to be really key for the club in terms of the growth and sustainability over the next 5 years, maybe longer, 5 to 10 years, in terms of financial fair play, which we've talked about loads and constantly come back to, and in terms of how much Newcastle can spend this summer and next transfer windows and so on and so forth. The amount they'll be able to spend will be reliant on how much the commercial revenue can be brought in, how much more how better the finances can be in sponsorship, whether it's shirts, sleeves, main sponsors, whether it's a sponsor for St. James's, whether it's sponsorship for the training ground, whatever it is, all that will go into making the club a lot more profitable, a lot more self-sustainable, and help Eddie Howe or whoever is the manager at that time have a healthier, wealthier transfer budget.
Yeah, I agree, and it's good to see. And I think it wasn't for the want of trying, sadly, for some really good people who work at the club for the commercial side of things, and they just hadn't been allowed to take the shackles off under Ashley, which is the downside. But hopefully, some of those people are getting the opportunity to do just that now. Dan Brown, he says, isn't one of the Castori production companies owned by Ashley? All the more reason to drop them next year and get back to Adidas. Yeah, I think a lot of people would like to see a return to a more fashionable, a fashionable designer for the shirts. We're getting more from Noon than we got from any main shirt sponsor under Ashley, says Ian, which is good. And just a little line here from Mozza, which I did laugh at. It's a shame we're not signing Jesus. We could have had the trilogy, Saint, Pope and Jesus. Yeah, very good, Mozza. Like it. L. Stapleton, good evening. He says, is the Ekitike deal officially off? I can't find any official quote or report. Now, this is what I was going on about last night. It's all media speculation. And the least we hear about deals, I always feel more confident, Ross. And I put my neck on the line last night and said, I still think there's legs in Ekitike and I still think there's legs in Lingard. And that's not through any official source. That's not through any tip-offs. That's not through speaking to somebody through, cut out holes in the Evening Chronicle, across a crowded bar. This is just my gut instinct. I tend to go with it. I think there's still legs in both of those deals. I can't see Lingard getting the wages that he wants at any club. I think it could be a late move, that one, for Newcastle or another club. But I still think Newcastle are certainly involved in that. And I still think with Ekitike that deal could get done. Some suggesting, Tom saying, some are suggesting on Twitter that the Botman announcement's delayed because Newcastle want to do a double signing announcement. It could be Ekitike. You never know. The least we hear about it, the better. And Tom saying as well, a question for Ross, with the Ekitike deal off, where do you think Newcastle will look at for a centre forward? I just genuinely don't think it's off yet, Ross. And that's why there's been no official announcement, because it's still ongoing.
So I think that the truth's probably somewhere in between for me. I think there's no doubt that Newcastle have grown frustrated with the length of time and the issues that's taken around this particular deal. Some of the elements involved in the deal, particularly the kind of the agent and some of the fees and money that has been haggled over. I think they are certainly frustrated with it, and ultimately they're going to have to draw a line at some point. You're going to have to. This can't go on for forever. There is going to have to be a line drawn in the sand at some point, so the club can move on to other targets, and they do have other targets. They will have other targets. They will and have been speaking to other people, but Ekitike is clearly the number one choice at the minute, and they feel that he is the right player at the right price at the right age, so on and so forth. So yeah, to go back to the original point, I think there's huge frustration, and they are prepared to walk away from this one. They are looking at it, kind of cutting it dead and saying, look, this can't go on any longer. We're going to move on to either take the deal or not, move on to other targets. Last I heard on this, though, that wasn't, the club hadn't reached that point, that kind of definite hard stop, if you like. They hadn't reached that point, and the never say never sort of thing. This it's what are we on, June the 27th, June the 28th. There's a lot of time we're still talking 2 months to go before the transfer window closes September the 1st this year. We've got more than 2 months, so to knock in the head on any deal at this early juncture, I think is probably a touch premature, but there's no doubt at all that they're frustrated and they're looking at alternative options.
I mean, there will be frustration, but as I say, I still think there will be legs in that, and we'll wait and see. We will wait and see. All good things come to those who wait. Lots of rumours flying around as well. We'll come to them in due course.
You're right. Sorry on the Ekitike one. Sorry, just to go back to it. You're right. You know, there will be some time. Look how long it's taken to land Botman. You know, this is a deal that's been going on since January. You know, Ekitike has been going on since then as well. So they are prepared to be patient for the right player. And like I said, I don't think it's a hard stop right now. But yeah, let's just wait and see. And hopefully it can be resurrected, because he's clearly the player that they've earmarked as their first choice. I think so. And I don't even think it's at that point where it needs resurrecting. I think it's still ongoing. And I think the least we hear about it, the better. And that's the way Dan Ashworth does his business. John Askew, he says he's been to Club Store for the new green and white shirt. One of the best 65 quids I've invested in this year. If anyone's going to do it, though, get a size or two bigger than normal. Got 4XL and I'm not huge. I've heard a lot about this, but the strip, I think it was Tom mentioned it yesterday as well, that he'd looked at it, one or two others mentioned it, and it's I mean, they're obviously tight fitting, Ross. You're not the only one who's heard that. Yeah, I've seen a couple of people saying that the strips are a little bit slim fit, shall we say? So yeah, maybe try before you buy.
John says, surely the defence is sorted now. One podcast viewer text in that if two right-footed centre-backs can play together, why not two left-footers? Great point, and surely Burn could play with Botman. That brings up a point that was made last night on the show. I was speaking to somebody when, the Botman deal was more or less confirmed over the weekend, and he was concerned about two left-footers playing together. In the centre half position, which prompted the suggestion from me that maybe Eddie Howe will be going for maybe three at the back. He might be changing the formation slightly. But yeah, I mean, you played football at the same kind of level as me, Ross. Two left footers in the centre of defence. If it was playing a four, would that bother you?
Some people say that I had two left feet when I was playing anyhow, Steve. So that's
I didn't say that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the makeup of the team is. Obviously, I don't think it's for me. It's not just about whether you play with your right foot or your left foot. It's how comfortable you are on either side of that back four. So you can see right-footed centre halves who are more comfortable on that left side of the two if you're playing in two in there. And similarly, you can see right-footed fullbacks who are actually better, more comfortable playing on the left side of a back four. So it's just where they fit in and where they're most comfortable. But I'm sure Eddie Howe's got a plan around it. I think signing Botman just adds extra depth and extra quality to that defence. Dan Burn can also play as a left back. We've seen him play as a kind of left-sided centre half of three, or even a left back / wing back with Brighton. I think he's quite versatile. Eddie Howe will have a good plan there for Botman and how he sees him fitting into the team in the system. Fabian Schär's the man in possession on that right side of the back four, that right side of the two centre halves. He's the man in possession. He finished the season really, really well, so it'll take a little bit to dislodge him, but pre-season, great opportunity to try different systems out, different formations, different ways of playing, different partnerships, and I'm sure sure, come the start of the season, that there's plenty of opportunity for everyone to have had a good run and to try and state that claim for that place.
Alan says with Byrne and Botman's height, we can call them Airbnb. Yeah, they're both big lads. I mean, so Botman getting out the car yesterday, dear me, what a lump, Ross.
Nah, big fella, isn't he? Big fella. I wasn't quite sure about his cream and white attire, mind. But yeah, he looks an imposing figure. I'll be brutally honest. I've not seen him play. I've not really seen him play. I've seen bits and pieces of him in the odd Champions League thing here or there. I've seen, like everybody probably, I've watched bits and pieces on various little highlights and clips and stuff like that. So I don't really, I wouldn't feel comfortable commenting on how good he is and what kind of qualities he's going to bring. I've seen 6'4", 6'5" centre halves who can barely jump at the same time. So he coming into the Premier League, he'll find a mix of different styles. He'll be up against quick and nippy forwards. He'll be up against some big units himself. So it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to the pace, the physicality, the kind of the intensity of the Premier League as well. We might have to just be aware that we have to give these players sometimes a little bit of time to bed in and get adjusted to the Premier League. It'll be different pace and intensity and everything to what he's used to in the French league. We've seen that when players have come over from France before to Newcastle. Some have adapted really, really quickly and hit the ground running. Some have taken a little bit of time to find their feet. Some haven't managed to find their feet. Let's obviously hope that's not going to be the case with Botman. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he fits into that back four.
Mark Bayer says anything on Gabriel Barbosa, Ross? He's special. It's a target that I've heard mentioned on other podcast platforms this week, but not one I've really picked up on. Your thoughts on that? Is that a potential?
Again, not one that I'm similar to you, Steve. I've heard his name mentioned a few times, but nothing concrete. Again, is he someone that is a realistic kind of option? I'm not 100% certain. He's someone who was linked a while back. I think back in January was when he was first mentioned. He's obviously got a fantastic record, and he's Brazilian as well. So it kind of links in with the current trend and current feel at Newcastle with Joe Linton and Bruno as well. So yeah, I think he'd be someone who would really excite the fans and get them off their seat if he brought in somebody of his kind of reputation. But it's not one that I've heard as being a concrete kind of option at the minute.
Kevin says if you look at some of the How Masterclass videos on YouTube, he loved playing 5-4-1 with two holding midfielders. I think this could be our new formation with Byrne, Botman, Shaw as a defensive three. Yeah, look, there's no denying that, like I said last night, Eddie Howe came in and had to make the best of a bad lot. And, he had to play with the cards he was dealt under the Ashley Bruce regime. So, he only had a chance to alter it slightly in January. But now we're looking more towards him forming his own team and potentially a different formation. So never count that out. He's not just going to stick to one formation, I wouldn't have thought. Life goes to Steve, ITK Siren, the only Twitter in the know who seems to always be correct, thinks Ekitike will still end up at Newcastle and that this is a game of bluff that backfired on his agent. Are you also confident? I am. Life goes. I've said this over the last 48 hours. I still think that will happen. I still think it's one which can come good for Newcastle, 100%. Hagen, welcome to the chat. I know you struggle to get on. You're here tonight. Will Wilson hang around if we play one striker and he's playing second fiddle to whichever first choice striker we bring in, considering he has international aspirations? I think that's interesting, that because my dad last night did say that a fit Callum Wilson would solve the striker issue, and of course, my dad's right. There's no doubt about that. I think that Wilson will hang around. I don't think anyone will be given a cast iron guarantee either, Ross. I think the whole idea is to maintain the dressing room atmosphere, but to make it competitive as well, Ross. That's how you get not only a happy team but a winning team.
Yeah, I think Wilson. Look, we all know we've all seen his quality when he's fit and flying and if you can get a real, steady run of games out of him, those last two performances, the Arsenal game when he came back after 4 months out and kind of just hit the ground running, absolutely bullied the Ben White, and the Arsenal defense was an incredible performance, I thought, given the amount of time he'd been out. Shows what he's capable of and the player that he can be if he gets a run of games. But even if Newcastle do bring somebody in, they're going to need competition for places. They're going to need, the Chris Wood's in there as well. But Wilson's obviously, I think everyone would agree, he's a cut above. If they bring somebody in who's going to challenge Callum Wilson for a first team spot, then I don't think Wilson would shy away from that. I don't think he would want to move anywhere. I think he likes it at Newcastle. You can see the way that the club's going, the kind of momentum that's behind and what the plans are. And I'm sure he'd want to stay, fight for his place, and be part of an exciting chapter in the club's history, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Lots of points coming in. We'll try to get to them as best we can. Let's go with this one. Roger, good evening. One of the mods. He says, which position does Ross think we will target next?
Forwards, just absolute forwards. Botman deal's pretty much done. Obviously, we're just waiting on the announcement. They've got to get those forward positions sorted now. Whether that's one or two, whether it's a central striker and a wide attacker, a wide forward. That is the ultimate kind of target now. It's the business that's been done for all that. There was a lot of kind of concern, a week or 10 days or so ago about players coming in. The club's now signed a left back, Premier League pedigree, quality left back who knows the club because he was here for 6 months last season. Signed England international goalkeeper. They've signed their number one defensive target, pretty much. Let's, barring the announcement. They've got 3 fantastic deals completed, and we're not even out of June yet. So lots of good work done, and that for me now means that they've got they were the kind of the 3 areas plus the forward plus the striker position that were the real targets this summer. And 3 out of 4 kind of pretty much done now. So for me, I think it's just a case of sorting that top end of the pitch out, where we all know that they need a little bit more quality, need a little bit more of a cutting edge, a bit more class, if they really want to challenge for those top positions in the Premier League. So yeah, wide forwards and possibly a central striker type of role as well.
Yeah, okay, that's the answer to that question. Does Ross think there will be more season tickets released? Only 1,000 and a small section of the ground available today. Yeah, I mean, what did you make of that? Because obviously it's a sellout now again. Do you think they've got more? Do you think they'll be, do you think they'll be waiting now until they can, expand the ground? What was your take on the whole season ticket, experiment? I guess it felt like a bit of an experiment. Lots of people in the queue, lots of disappointed people didn't get them chosen, but there was 1,000 successful applicants today.
Yeah, I got a real kind of degree of sympathy with the club that were there. I think it was a no-win situation in many senses. That they only had a certain finite number of tickets that they could release. Look, they've got to have, by Premier League rules, to the best of my understanding, is they've got to have a certain number of tickets available on a match day for sale. I think that's part of the rules. You can't just sell every ticket as a season ticket. I think I'm right in saying that. I probably need to just double check on that one, so don't take it as gospel. But I'm sure they need to keep a certain amount of tickets for general sale, and they also need to then keep a certain percentage of tickets for away fans as well. So all of a sudden, there you're reducing some of the numbers that you can sell in terms of season tickets. So I don't know if there's going to be any more capacity for season tickets unless something changes between now and the start of the season for any more to be released. Fantastic to see that many people kind of scrambling around for tickets when you go back, 2 years, and you know, the club were having to give away 10,000 season tickets because of the situation that they were in. It's a remarkable turnaround, fantastic transformation. I think it does just highlight that we do need to, or the club does seriously need to consider the capacity at St James's, and if there's any way of getting an extra 5 or 10,000 seats into the ground. If there's any way of expanding or remodeling St James's to try and squeeze a bit more of the capacity, whether it's, you know, whether safe standings is something that needs to be seriously considered, or whether there's some sort of clever expansion ideas, which I know there's some out there. I've seen some of them out there. I think they really do need to seriously consider it over the next couple of years.
Yeah, lots of comments, as I say, coming in. Need 2 top forwards if they can, says Steve Middlemas. Gaza says Borja from Chelsea would do for me 100%. Rachel, just getting back to the strip, says it's amazing how Sky have announced our 3rd kit on social media. Funny how they haven't done that with any other club. Yeah, it's funny that. I understand that Raphinha had undertaken a medical at 12 midday today, but unsure for which club, says BJT. No, Raphinha is another one on the, I guess, on the radar. Leeds and Everton their supporters must be worried. I mean, talking about selling some of the best players. I think it tells a lot. Live Goals is cottoned onto that as well. He says also, Ross, your Total Sense media bud Dominic Careen seems to be pretty on point and reckons club are battling Spurs for Anthony Gordon, but Everton would rather sell to Tottenham. Have you heard the same? I find it rather bizarre that these players are being allowed to leave, but they're obviously struggling. But Anthony Gordon, Christian Eriksen is another one that someone's mentioning there. So just in a nutshell, these players are they still. Is Anthony Gordon on the radar? Or is Christian Eriksen one that you think would come to Newcastle? What's your thoughts on that, Ross?
Anthony Gordon, I don't think that's really one that's feasible. I think Everton do need to move some players out, and if they're gonna kind of remodel a squad and give Frank Lampard a few quid for his transfer kitty, I'd be astonished if they sold Anthony Gordon. I'd be astonished if they sold him to anyone this summer. Least of all, kind of Newcastle. I just don't see that one. I really don't see that one happening. I do know Spurs are interested in him, very, very interested in him, but I'd be very surprised. The noises I'm hearing out of Liverpool, Everton, out of Merseyside is that he's really not for sale. Whether they then try to cash in on other players there that they've got, Richarlison or Calvert-Lewin, then I think they'd rather sell them before sell a player who's effectively one of their own. Crown jewels, come through the academy, loved by Everton fans. I think there'd be a bit of a riot if Everton sold him this summer. But you never say never. If somebody comes in with a big enough money, then it's money talks at the end of the day, doesn't it? So you never know. Who was the other one? It was Raphinha, wasn't it?
Raphinha, yeah.
Yeah, Raphinha's an interesting one. Look, he is someone who Newcastle like. He is someone that they've watched. Interesting little story. Newcastle could have had Raphinha before he went to Leeds. They were offered him for around about, I think it was around about 13 million. The transfer window when they signed Miggy Almiron. So they were offered Raphinha then. They had the opportunity to buy him. Didn't. They were committed to the Almiron deal. That one was down the line, and he'd been scouted a lot. Newcastle did like him and had watched Raphinha, but they kind of turned that offer down, turned down that opportunity to sign Raphinha at that time, which is it's just the way football works. He's coming into English football, and I think Leeds paid around about the 19-20 million pound mark. They're going to make more than double that on him. Actually, I think they bought him for a little bit more, probably 22, 23, but they're going to make double that comfortably because of the money that he will go for, Raphinha. I think he's out. I think he's out of Newcastle's Newcastle's budget now. I don't think they can afford to be spending now 60 million pound on a winger, given where they're at. And he's certainly going to have plenty suitors, so his price is only going to go up. Whether Leeds are willing to sell him now as well. They obviously sold Calvin Phillips and pocketed a fair few quid from there. Do they need to sell Raphinha this window? Possibly not, but he's definitely one that got away for Newcastle. Could have had him for a bit of a song back in the day.
Yeah, we could have done. I think I'm just surprised that these teams are having to sell. It's never a good sign at the start of the transfer window when teams which would be hoping to compete are having to sell. Anyway, big shout out to our sponsor, Spider Miner. Worldwide coverage from the lads. The only cryptocurrency miner that can mine 5 different cryptocurrencies at the same time whilst using virtually no energy. And it's VPN protected. Buy yours now at www.miner.spidervpn.org. Thanks to Skips and Bins. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy contract, free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks to L&G Family Funeral Directors, 01913897245. And the Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD Hemp and Cannabinoid Specialists, www.guhd.com. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Malls and Newcastle, and the guys who do our website, NUFCmatters.com. And thanks to Cleakai, meet the new game over screen, drop into a ClearRun device near you, available on Apple Store, Google Play, and clearrun.game. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things. If you want to subscribe, we've hit another 100 subscribers in the last few days, up to 48,800 now. Hit the Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can subscribe for free. Hit the thumb up to like the video, click share to share to your social media, and drop into the comments box to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans or to put a question on screen. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and other podcast providers. So if you want to catch up on your phone or when you're out in the car, you can do. It usually goes up 24 hours after the YouTube show. If you want to help us, you can become a member. You can just click join under the video on YouTube, make a small donation, or you can become a cult member and get a pen, a membership card, a scarf, a cup, and entry into the monthly draw. How do you do that? Well, you go to nufcmatters.com and you click membership. You can also put your smartphone camera over the QR code. It will take you straight there. We also send you a car sticker for free. If you are a subscriber, simply email john@nufcmatters.com and he will send you one out. We also support the food bank on this show, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. The match day bucket is operational 365 days of the year, and you can make a donation a day. Don't forget as well, the Shearer Ball, signed by Alan on the 7th of April at the 260 dinner, is up for grabs. $2.99 a ticket, 99 tickets. You've got to be in it to win it. The cracking pieces of memorabilia, and as I say, there was only 260 made, so enter the raffle and you could win today. Don't forget, Tyson Fury is in Gateshead, 7th of July at the Fed. Tickets from goldstarpromotions.co.uk. That'll be a cracking night with the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. Okay, back to your questions and back to some of the points. Steve says, could you see us playing 4-4-2 under Howe like he did at Bournemouth? He had big success at Bournemouth for long periods of time playing that formation. Like I say, Ross, I do think that there is a scope for him potentially altering things depending on who he brings in.
Flexible, anyhow, I think in terms of his tactics, somebody's mentioned there, obviously, Steve's mentioned 4-4-2. Somebody previously mentioned 5-4-1. He's been fairly wedded since the turn of the year to the 4-3-3 and had a lot of success about it. Don't think he's particularly wedded to a system, a formation as such. He'll see what players he's got in and got at his disposal, and he'll tweak it. We've seen him kind of go 4-4-2 at times, or a bit more kind of 4 up front at times. With Newcastle, depending on the match situation and how it goes. He started off when he first came in with 3 at the back for a few games as well. So I think he'd be fairly flexible. I would be surprised if he didn't start with a 4-3-3 in when the season starts. I think that'll be where he looks. I do think that is the kind of, I'm not saying it's fashionable, it's in vogue or anything like that, but you look at the top teams and with a 4-3-3, you get that extra body in the centre of the park, but you also still have hopefully 3 real attacking threats high up the pitch. So by having an extra man in that midfield, it gives you a little bit of stability and security there. So I do, it is a formation that probably suits the Premier League at the minute. It's very fashionable, and I would be surprised if he moved away from that. But like I say, he's a innovative coach. He's tried different formations and tactics through his career. So never say never to any tactic, I suppose.
Life Goal says, do you believe McGinn from Villa would be a good signing at 30 million?
Not for me. I like him. I think he's all right. I don't think he particularly enhances Newcastle's midfield for that kind of money. Just my opinion, but I wouldn't be someone. I wouldn't be getting overly excited if John McGinn came into the club. Really good player, don't get us wrong, but just not for me. What Newcastle need at the minute.
Lots of people want to know how many more signings you think we will get after Botman. Steve's asking the question. So is Scott Evening, guys, realistically, how many more players do you think we need to sign going into the season? Do you think we'll make a statement marquee signing, a Neymar, a Lewandowski kind of player?
Not for me on the marquee signing. I don't think that's the kind of way that the club want to go right now. I don't see that being the case. I might be completely wrong, but I think they want to bring in people who are hungry, ambitious, got good years ahead of them, or have got real kind of leadership qualities. You've got to remember as well, we see it every time, is that where Newcastle at the minute, they finished 12th, 13th, where we finished. There's no Champions League football, there's no European football. To bring those kind of big names to the club, you've got to really sell the club. They're not going to just come for money because they can go elsewhere for big money. You can't sell them, European football, because there isn't that on offer at the minute. So I don't see that as being an option. In terms of how many more signings, I would expect after Botman, maybe another couple. I wouldn't rule out 2 or 3, but what is going to become really, really critical and I suppose difficult as well is the size of the squad. There's a lot of players there who won't be getting anywhere near the team. It's a big squad, and they're going to have to trim that down. They're going to have to get, they're going to have to ship out a lot of fringe players, a lot of players who are on good contracts. It won't be easy to move out, but that's going to be a big part probably before they can bring too many more in.
Yeah, okay. Lots of comments coming in. I'm going to try and get through as many as I can. Let's go to this one. It's a bit different. Life Goal says, Ross, are the club making any progress selling Gale, Hendrick, Clark and co? Might these unwanted players be paid off? Yeah,
goes back to just what I've said there. Quite possibly. They're on decent money and decent contracts. Where's Gale, Hendrick and Clark, as examples, going to go now? Are they going to get Premier League clubs? No, not for me. Are they Championship players? Yeah, I think that's probably where they need to be pitched at. Trouble is they are on Premier League wages. They're on big money with 2 years left on contracts in some cases. So getting them out of the door is difficult. Possibly pay them off, possibly send them out on loan with the club that they go to, just paying a percentage of the wages, and Newcastle picking up the rest of the wages. If you're on, as an example, if you're on 50 grand a week at Newcastle, you're not going to just walk away without that. You're going to want that for the next 2 years, if that's what your contract says. So how did Newcastle get around that? I think loan deals with still paying a large percentage of the wages might be the way forward.
Okay, Ross, would you also agree that we need 2 more attacking signings of this standard? With 2 more attacking signings of this standard, we could push top 6. I mean, it's it's a little bit off that, I would have said.
Yeah, I think we just need to just rein in the. It's so difficult, though, isn't it? We do need to temper expectations a bit, and rein it in. Two quality forwards could really make a huge difference for me, though. I think if you could get 2 quality forwards in, you look at someone like Spurs, the 2 forwards that they've got up front, Son and Kane. I'm not saying Newcastle are going to get players into that quality. I absolutely don't think that whatsoever. But you can see the impact that like 2 real top end players can make on a club. I think you look at the teams that have pushed the top 6 recently. In recent years, so who came 7th? Wolves, 7th or 8th. Wolves finished 7th or 8th, didn't they? West Ham have pushed the top 6. Leicester have pushed the top 6, top 4 even. It's not beyond the realms of possibility with the right signings and the momentum carried over from the end of last season. But let's just walk before we can run, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this one from Michael. He says, Ross and Steve, what do you guys make the fact that just one of the players we've signed since the takeover has been an attacker? Wood, we had a huge problem scoring. When will we flip to attack?
Good question. Very good question. I don't think it's for a want to try and that they've only brought one forward in. It's just that's where the quality is. That's where the money is. They're the types of players that everybody's trying to get. Everybody's trying to sign players who can make that difference in the final third. Everyone's trying to get those top difference makers at the top end, and they don't come cheap. Chris Wood cost us 25 million. Now, I think he's done a decent job. Did the job that he was brought in, who led the line, and helped the club stay up. And wouldn't criticise him for that. But 25 million for Chris Wood is a kind of an indication of how difficult it is to get really top quality forwards who are going to improve the club and make a difference at the right price. So I'm not surprised that they haven't really been able to shift the needle a little bit on that side yet. Okay,
next question is from Jordan. He says, where can I get any friendly tickets, any crack? Just keep an eye on NUFC.co.uk. I used to say NUFC.com, but to be honest, the club website's actually up to date these days. Keep an eye out on there, mate. They've got a tickets section there, which is very up to date these days. So get on there. Northumberland Geordie says, I sat in the queue online today for 45 minutes. Then I got forwarded to a page that was under maintenance. By the time I got back in, they'd all gone gutted. Yeah, lots of similar stories about this. Kevin says, today Newcastle potentially missed out on 18 million in revenue with 30,000 plus people queuing. We need a bigger ground. Alan says, it was a shambles, Steve. I was 3,971. Then after 30 minutes, we got a notice that the site was down for maintenance. Did anyone get one? Then last I looked, it was 324,000. Unfortunately, the infrastructure of the website just isn't up to scratch. That is the sad case of affairs. And yeah, it's going to be disappointing for anyone who missed out. Dan says, hi guys, love your thoughts on Conor Gallagher. What price do you think he would go for? Conor Gallagher, fancy him, Ross?
I do actually, yeah. I think he's a good turn. I think he's probably the right kind of fit for Newcastle right now. That kind of young, English, hungry player, not right at the top end at the minute, but with potential to maybe get there. I think he's I think he would be a real good shout. But again, I just don't see the centre midfield being a key area at the minute. Shelby's in there. Bruno, Joe Linton, Sean Longstaff's just signed a new contract with limited funds, with the wage, with the kind of the transfer budget thing as it is. I'm not sure that they'll target centre mid this window, but if they did, somebody like Conor Gallagher, I think would be a fantastic addition.
Yeah, me too. I think again, I don't think he'd be massively expensive either. I think we'll get him at a decent price. So yeah, but we'll see. Again, it's just exciting to be in the mix for these kind of players. Life Goals is asking, what happens with Lascelles now? Won't be content with being fourth choice. And BJT says, do you think Lascelles is sold? How will bring in another centre-back? I can't see Lascelles staying at this moment in time. I think we all believe that Trippier is probably going to be captain as well. But Lascelles still got a future, Ross?
Probably not. He might hang around for another season or so. Might that's up to him. Where else is he? Where's he going to go? It's an interesting one for players like him, because do they take the gamble of maybe he's not being a first choice starter, but being part of the journey and the part of the kind of the roller coaster and the progression of the club and hanging around for that, and realizing that they might not get the amount of minutes that they want, but they could still get a lot of minutes still potentially and be part of something exciting. Or do they kind of bite the bullet and probably step down a level and go somewhere else?
Yeah, again, some people disagreeing with Conor Gallagher. Somebody saying that he wasn't great for England. Spare a thought, says Life Goals, from my friend who refreshed the page continuously for Glastonbury tickets in 2019 for this year's festival. Missed out and had to wait 3 years to apply again. Today, he missed out on an NUFC season ticket. Oh dear. Somebody asking when the next event is. Well, I'm just going to stick a link in the chat now on YouTube. 2 seconds, bear with us. There we go. This is limited edition, a limited ticket event. We've been doing a few. Some of you will have noticed at the Tynemouth Surf Cafe. And this one's just gone on sale in the last couple of days. An evening with John Anderson. It's limited to 35 tickets, so get in quick. The link in the chat, you can go and buy your tickets direct. Thursday, the 13th of October, and it is the Tynemouth Surf Cafe. Lovely, quirky little venue. Superman and Gibbo were on there only a couple of weeks ago. Steve Howie is on in a couple of months' time, but that one is already sold out in 2 days. So this one again, and even with John Anderson, get your tickets now. The link is in the chat. So there you go. That is the next event. Let's quickly talk about the training ground. Permission granted by the council, mate. So they can now go ahead and put up the new builds, which is great. Good news, Ross, and just a step in the right direction.
Yeah, fantastic news. Been a long time coming. I say a long time coming. It hasn't taken the new owners very long to get to grips with it. It was something that the previous regime dillied and dallied and ultimately didn't feel it was worth the spend or the expense on it. Just a further example of the understanding of where Newcastle are and what needs to be improved, and the intent of the club as well. I think ultimately it'll be a kind of short-term fix, and long-term that there'll be a new training ground in a new location, somewhere else either in the city or on the outskirts of Newcastle. But yeah, certainly short-term, it's great to see the work started and the improvements being made.
It was never going to be easy for the new owners to sort the season tickets, but the website allowing a place in the queue for multiple devices is unbelievable. One account, but a place for every device you log in, says John. Just pointing out a few of the frailties. It takes a while to get that kind of thing sorted, and Ashley's just had it in such a mess. Jimmy, I'm fine, mate. Any news on Shelby moving on? We haven't heard anything on any outgoings at all. My dad was also suggesting Elliot Anderson could be a vital part with the substitutes going up. Maybe he's keeping an eye on him closer to home and not loan him out. What do you think about that, Ross?
Like that a lot. If he's up to the levels that the club needs, that's going to be kind of one of the ones that'll be really interesting to keep an eye on. I'm sure he will get his opportunity in pre-season. Once they get that back, they'll want to look at him and work with him very, very closely. He had that fantastic spell out to Bristol Rovers. I think good feeling for me is that he'll probably go out again on loan somewhere, and try and get another 6 months kind of experience, or 3 or 4 months, whatever it is, experience. Maybe he's at Championship or League One level. Maybe he's back to Bristol Rovers, but at that League One level, I'd like to see him probably in the Championship though, personally, just to test him and push him on that extra extra step. But if Eddie Howe feels that he's worthy of being part of the first team squad, then it's great. It's great for the academy. It's great for the lad himself. Obviously, it's great for the club as well. If we're looking at it purely on a business level, if you can add somebody into your first team squad who is capable of stepping up and doing the business, it saves you potentially 20, 30 million. Going out and getting a Conor Gallagher in. If you don't want to get, you haven't got the money to get Conor Gallagher in and Elliot Anderson, you think you can develop into someone who's of a similar ability, then great. Saves them the money, saves the club a lot of money, and allows them to invest it in other areas as well.
Yeah, I just wish we'd kept a hold of Bobby Clark. It would have been another name we would have been talking about. And says, what do you think of today's announcement by Villa to apply to increase the ground by 7,500 next summer? And what are the plans for War Cathedral? It's interesting because I mentioned this on the Three Amigos a few weeks ago, and I was convinced that I had something lying around or on an email or something, and I did find it. It was this. I'm not sure where I got this from. I think it maybe is one of those things that was sent to us. Project Vebra Strip. And this was a potential architect's drawing of a St. James's Park down by the river on the site of the arena. I mean, that, is the view from the Red Hoof Bridge going into Newcastle. I mean, that would be fantastic, mate. I've got to be honest, if that was ever going to happen. I wonder how, punters would feel about that. How would fans feel about that? How does the chat feel about that? Or would it be a no-go? People would still insist on it being, where it is and trying to rebuild it. What's your thoughts on that, Ross? It looks fantastic. Most architects' drawings do, but I think that would be lovely.
It looks really good, yeah. It's just over the river from you as well, mate, isn't it? So it'd be nice.
A stone's throw.
You just have to paddle across get your canoe out and paddle across, and you'd be there, no bother at all. So, look, I've gone on record as saying before that my first choice, second choice, third choice, and fourth choice would be to stay at St. James's and to somehow develop the ground so we can get some extra capacity in there. I'd like to see them exhaust every possible avenue of opportunity there to do it. Whether we've all seen, or I think most of us have probably seen some fancy designs. I've been sent some through by architects or people connected with architects about whether it's almost a 180 turn of the pitch and developing, helping to develop areas that way, develop parts of the ground that way, even shifting the pitch. I've seen some plans for shifting the pitch closer towards the Milburn stand and the main stand and helping add some extra tiers into the East stand and the Gallagher that way as well. We've all seen some really fancy designs, and I'd love to see the club add a few extra onto St. James's and stay on that site and that location because of the history, the location, the fantastic memories that everybody has from there. But football moves on, and if it can't happen, then as long as, for me, if we can keep the ground within the city limits, within the city centre, I think that's one of the big appeals of St. James's and Newcastle as a football club is the locality of the ground. We've all been to various other stadiums, and they're on the outskirts and in an industrial estate here, and on a by the side of a motorway there. Not for me. I think it's a little bit soulless. I'd love to see it stay within the city limits, and that's not a bad option. Obviously, the arena's going to be out of use in a real short while as well. So it could be a really good option, that one.
Yeah, the East Stand, somebody's mentioned we can't do anything with that. Dave, East Stand, can't do anything with that. We can. I think I told people on this show on a few occasions now, when I was fans liaison officer at the club in 2000, David Stonehouse showed me the plans for incorporating the East Stand front fascia within a new stand. That is a way of doing it. But the cost in 2000 for that was the equivalent of building a new stadium on Leazes Park, which of course was something that the club did look at. But the Not In My Backyarders came out and were completely against it. Big campaign against Newcastle moving onto the park, which, is fair enough. I mean, it's something to be enjoyed by everyone. Not everyone in the city is a football fan. So, for me, restructuring it, moving it, again, where are Newcastle going to play if we do that? We're playing with home games at Wembley. Is that what we're going to do? I mean, I just don't know. I don't know the answer to it. If I did,
what size stadium do you think the club needs? Because I've seen a little bit of talk on social media and everything about this over the last, 24, 48 hours, especially around the ticket thing. So yeah, look, let's say 30,000 people, whether it was 30,000 people or not, we're trying to get season tickets. Does that mean that all of a sudden Newcastle need an 80, 82, 80, 85,000 seater stadium? Or do we just need to add an extra 5 to 10,000 on? Let's be honest, and we know what the situation was and the reasons behind it, but not that long ago we were given 10,000 tickets away. If the club has 3 or 4 seasons in mid-table in the Premier League, is that level of interest and enthusiasm and everything, or everybody wanting season tickets, is it going to die away? And I'd be interested. What's your thoughts, Stephen? And interested in what people's thoughts and what size ground do we need?
This is the problem, isn't it? I mean, football changes week to week, month to month, year to year, decade to decade, and last year we couldn't even fill our stadium. Now investment, hope, new players coming in, belief. You could probably sell it. Again, another 30,000, but I don't know is the honest answer. 80,000 says political bias would be nice. Rob's got his season ticket back, which is great news. Good to see you, Rob, on here. But 80,000 says Hagen. 75 to 80,000 says Geordie to my life. Wembley size, basically, says Dan Brown. 70,000 says Ashen Tun. Everybody's saying it. Life Goal says, I believe with a decent side, Newcastle can fill 100,000. I mean, it's mental, isn't it? It's absolutely mental. For me, I think short term, 7,000 on the Gallagher potentially is going to give you that slight increase. You'll be up to 60,000, 61,000. I think they'll go with public opinion. And I think taking the East Stand down and building up over or digging down over, there has to be some way that they'll get people in, they'll look at it and they'll do what's best for the club and they will do what the fans want. I think that's the way these owners will work. I don't think they'll move it, but you never know. Is that potential stadium down by the Tyne a reality? Could it be a reality? Who knows? But yeah, I think 75, 80,000 is about right. I think that would be great. You have to have long-sighted glasses on. What happens if things went pear-shaped?
That's exactly it. Yeah, are you left with a bit of a white elephant? You've got a 75,000 seater stadium and you're selling 40,000 season tickets, or 40,000, 45,000, and all of a sudden you're left with big gaps. I'm not saying that would happen, and that's probably a negative way to look at it. But yeah, I think I'd be comfortable around the 65 mark. So if we get to that, I think that would be really, really impressive. But yeah, it's certainly going to be a hot topic, I think, for the next couple of years, if not longer.
Stu's more concerned about how long his bus home's going to take. He says, with 52,000 people leaving, it takes him 2 hours. He says, with 80,000, God, how long is it going to take for us to get home? Which is a very valid point, Stu. I think you need to make it clear to Amanda and Mirdad about this. Heard anything on Prowse? Tim asks Ross. I've heard nothing on Prowse. Guri from Nice, heard anything on that? Last 2 points.
No, nothing on either of those. Both names that have been mentioned, but again, not ones that are that I've heard that are kind of viable, concrete kind of players on the list at the minute who may be coming in. But look, we're going to be linked with several hundred more between now and September the 1st. So you just don't know, do you?
That hour flew over. Thanks to the moderators. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Over 568 watching now, which is fantastic. Thank you for me and Ross. We will both see you next week. Have a good week, Ross. Where can people find you on Twitter, etc.?
Twitter, yeah, Ross Gregory 9 on there, and floating around various other places. But yeah, if you want to catch up with me on Twitter, it's Ross Gregory 9.
Good stuff, mate. Have a good week. See you next week, pal.
Cheers, Steve. Take care, everyone. Bye.